Jake the dog isn't what you think about when you picture your traditional family man. But beneath the themes of friendship and adventure on this show, there are some hilarious and heartfelt family dynamics, and Jake's family line is definitely the most colorful. With Bronwyn showing up at the end of Obsidian in place of her grandpa, I thought now might be a good time to recap all of Jake's children and grandchildren. I'm Whitney Van Laningham, and today we're breaking down Jake the dog's family tree. Before we get started, I want to give a shout out to our super nerd sponsor of the day, Axel and Aries. First things first, this video is going to solely focus on the Jake side of Finn and Jake's family tree. I started trying to fit it all in one video and there was a lot of information, so I think it's better if I split them into separate videos. Keep an eye out for a video deep dive on Finn's family tree soon. Jake's family dynamics are definitely unique to say the least. On the outside, they look like the typical nuclear dog family with an adopted human son. But Jake's origin story is wild. Jake's mom and dad are Joshua and Margaret, private investigators and awesome parents. Both of them are crime fighters, kind of like Finn and Jake, but with more detective vibes, less epic hero. They do battle monsters and arrest unlawful citizens, but both seem more cautious and case-based than Finn and Jake blindly seeking battle with evil creatures. Especially once Margaret is pregnant with their son, Jermaine. Joshua turns into a total nervous Nelly about every single move his wife makes in her investigation work. When the ticker tape that alerts them to local crimes goes off, he selects the least dangerous option for his pregnant wife, finding out the culprit of Tree Trunks' missing apple pies. But when they arrive in the forest to fight the shape-shifting monster that left tracks outside of Tree Trunks' cabin, Margaret gets her belly stuck in a tree and can't defend her husband. The shapeshifter bites Joshua on top of the head, injecting him with his venom, and flees into the trees. While Joshua rests at home trying not to die, Margaret ventures back in search of the shapeshifter to collect its venom to cure her husband. The shapeshifter tricks her into not killing it by playing on her motherly instincts, but she still manages to knock it out and extract its juices. Margaret starts going into labor, but makes it back home just in time. It turns out that her husband is also going through it. The boil that formed on Joshua's head from the monster bite erupts, and out pops baby Jake. Shortly after, Margaret gives birth to Jermaine. Despite the fact that Jake is 50% shapeshifter and 50% dog, both parents agree that he is their child and that they'll love both of their sons no matter what. The shapeshifter, however, had other plans for his son. He lay in wait for most of Jake's life, until one day when Jake and Finn are checking out their parents' old office for poltergeists, he pops up out of nowhere and tells Jake that he has to come with him. Jake leaves Finn a BRB note and disappears for like 5 weeks. Turns out that the shapeshifter's name is Warren Ampersand, and he intentionally implanted his seed into Joshua to birth Jake. He lures Jake back to his home planet, telling him that he's dying and that he used the last of his stretchy powers to bring his son back to him. Everyone on the planet treats Jake like a celebrity, and Warren has even built a museum in his son's honor. He wears a belt that says Proud Pop, and gives Jake one that says Galaxy Savior. But in reality, this is all a trick to rob Jake of his shapeshifting powers to feed his own life force. Once he successfully drains Jake, he will continue to stay alive, as he has done with all of his implanted sons in the past. Think Ego from Guardians of the Galaxy. Warren went all over the universe creating life just so that he could kill them later in order to grow stronger. He convinces Jake to stretch himself every which way to fit a super complicated weapon that will supposedly help him battle a monster. Instead, all the stretching drains Jake's powers, and Warren sucks them up into his Proud Pop belt. As his son lay dying, he tells him that of all the kids he's done this to, Jake is the first one to actually make him feel guilty for doing it. Jake hugs him and switches their belts. To cheer him up, Warren starts stretching into any person in Jake's life that he asks him to. Jake manages to get all of his power back, but because he told Warren about his own kids, Warren decides to rocket blast back to Ooh and kill one of his grandchildren instead. In a fit of protective papa rage, Jake hurls his biological dad into a black hole so that he can't hurt his children. Luckily, because this is a kids' show, Warren accepts his death before it happens, so we're chill. Obviously, Jake's real parents actually loved him, raised him, and stuck around for him. His mom even recorded her parenting guide for Jake so that he'd know how to raise beautiful babies like she did. Of course, because she's a mom, most of the manual is overprotective junk, but she still raised 3 mathematical dudes. Margaret and Joshua adopted Finn as well when he was a baby. They found him lying in the road after he pooped himself and got stuck to a leaf, and decided to take him home and love him as their own. Finn and his dog brothers age slightly differently, but the most important part is that they've been together for almost their entire lives, and they grew up in a loving home. But while Finn and Jake grew up to be adventurers, live together, and hang out every single day, Jermaine has led a much different life. Jake and his brother usually hang out psychically in their dreams, but after realizing it's been too long since they hung out in person, Jake is determined to go visit his brother. The only problem? Jermaine lives in their old parents' house surrounded by demons who want to break in and steal all their stuff back. Joshua and Margaret acquired a lot of treasures on their adventures, and these demons are relentless about reclaiming their things. Jermaine's life is completely solitary because of how difficult it is to keep the demons at bay. He's spent all these years trying to uphold his parents' legacy without really building a life for himself. When Finn and Jake come over, they naturally jank things up. They borrow salt from the salt circle to make fried rice. One of the demons breaks through Jermaine's trap and gets into the house. Although the boys defeat it, Jermaine is pissed. He explodes at Jake for being able to live such a fun, carefree life with Finn while he's been stuck guarding their parents' memories. Jermaine realizes that he needs to start living for himself, and he lets it all burn. He decides to let the demons have their stuff back and leaves to become a landscape painter. Later on, when he makes an out-of-character switch to abstract painting, Jermaine helps Jake understand that it's okay to change parts of yourself as you grow in life, and that new experiences and ideas don't make you any less you. He also shows up to warn Jake in a dream before Warren comes to town and strands Jake alone on that alien planet, and accompanies Finn to rescue him. In the finale, we see that Jermaine is still happily painting in the aftermath of the Gum Wars and the battle with Galb. Jake's girlfriend and baby mama is Lady Rainicorn, Princess Bubblegum's best friend and royal steed. Rainicorns come from the Crystal Dimension, which is where her parents, Bob and Ethel, still live. Although both of her parents wear universal translators, Lady does not. She knows both Korean and English, although she usually speaks in Korean. Lady is an equally kick-ass adventurer as Jake and Finn, and her Rainicorn powers definitely come in handy. Not only can she fly, she can also phase through solid objects even while carrying passengers, shoot white light from her horn in battle, and use her horn to change things to different colors. Both Lady and Jake play the viola and bond over their shared love of music. She and Jake fall in love and decide to become parents after dating for a while. They don't live together full-time and they're not married, but Jake stayed with her for a while when the pups were first born and periodically spends time at her house while Finn is off doing his own thing. Lady gives birth to 5 half Rainicorn, 1/4 dog, 1/4 shapeshifter pups named Charlie, Viola, TV, Kim Kilwan, and Jake Jr. The first 3 are named after characters from Willy Wonka: Charlie Bucket, Violet Beauregard, and Mike TV. Viola's name also doubles as a reference to her mom and dad's favorite musical instrument. Jake is super terrified for his children's safety when they're first born, but it turns out that Rainicorns age a lot faster than dogs, and they can already hold their own as infants. When Jake gets kidnapped by hungry foxes, his kids morph into a super pup to combine their powers to save him. Charlie resembles Jake the most, with an ovalish orange body and a cute doggy face. She has long blonde hair like Lady's and a horn on top of her head. Charlie can fly, teleport, and phase through solid objects like her mom, and shapeshift like her dad. She also has the ability to grow as big as she wants without gaining any mass, making the walk from her home inside a pyramid in Egypt back to Ooh a breeze. Her talent is reading tarot cards to predict the future, and she even uses one of her dad's bones and a lock of her mom's hair as a self-care soothsaying sesh. After seeing her future self go through phases of confusion and fear only to end up with boundless wisdom in her old age, she realizes that she hasn't been the best daughter to her dad. She decides to learn to play card wars with him so that they can win a championship tournament as father and daughter. They lose, but they still get to bond. Also, Charlie finds out from the tarot that she'll have a son in the future named Gibbon. We see Gibbon again in the intro for Come Along With Me with all white fur, and one of his eyes has been replaced with one of the Ice Thing's pink gems. We're not sure yet what path led Gibbon to this place, but my fingers are crossed that we find out in Together Again. According to Steve Wolfhard, one of Adventure Time's most prolific storyboard artists, Gibbon has control over pink ice, immortality, and the ability to extinguish the other pup's powers. Apparently, he used to also have pee-pee powers, but whatever they are, they were stolen. Viola is an actress and her dad's #1 fan. She's a peachy orange Rainicorn-shaped pup with the abilities to fly, teleport, and change colors with her horn. Despite the fact that she and Jake rarely see each other, she thinks he's the greatest father in the whole world, and stands up for him lovingly when the other pups complain about his absence. She wants nothing more than to make her dad proud, so she lies to him about getting the lead role in Lumpy Space Princess's play. In reality, LSP takes advantage of her hard work and willingness to please others. But when Tree Trunks drops out of the show, she steps into the spotlight on stage and performs for her father, siblings, and the citizens of Ooh. When LSP reveals that Viola was just supposed to help with special effects, she admits the truth to Jake, that she lied to him so that he wouldn't feel like a failure of a father. Of course, Jake is proud of her no matter what. TV is the round purple pup with rainbow stripes on his lower half. He's the least motivated of the pup siblings, but sweetly, he's also the closest to their mom. He's only really met his dad twice, and he lives with Lady for most of the series. Unlike Jake, he likes to sleep in late and chill all day, rather than fight monsters and go exploring. But Lady eventually encourages him to move out of the house and become more independent after an adventure in the Crystal Dimension. Of course, TV chooses to stay in the CD, but he moves in with his Rainicorn grandparents. Hey man, small steps! Some Rainicorn dog shapeshifters just fly from the nest a little later than others. In the series finale, we see him setting up a detective agency in his parents' old office with the help of his siblings. So even though it takes a while to get there, he finally figures out his dream. TV can teleport, change colors with his horn, and use his horn as a glow light, but he is one of the 2 siblings that can't fly on his own. Kilwan definitely has the most complicated relationship with his dad. They are total opposites. Despite the fact that KKW has the same head as his father and the elongated body and head horn of his mother, he's extremely mature, business-minded, and serious. He even grew a beard when he was like 5 days old. He's the owner of a successful real estate firm called KKW Enterprises, and he and his wife Pat and their daughter Bronwyn live in a beautiful house. Not much is known about how he and Pat got together, but she seems sweet and supportive of her husband's intentions. Kilwan disapproves of his dad's childish behavior and wants him to grow up, get a job, and start acting more like a grown-up and a father. But after realizing his cruelty in trading a totally lunatic base to Marceline in exchange for the deed to the treehouse in order to force his dad to mature, he learns to accept Jake for the dad and person that he is. After having his own daughter, Kilwan goes to Jake for advice when Bronwyn starts doing poorly in school. Bronwyn is a totally kick-ass skater with a rad sense of fashion. Bronwyn is half bear, 1/4 Rainicorn, 1/8 dog, and 1/8 shapeshifter, so she has Pat's face, Jake's coloring, and a horn that sticks through her helmet. She's a talented artist and skateboarder, but she can also teleport with her horn via lightning. She's embarrassed by her grandpa at first, but she slowly realizes that Jake's pretty cool. We see her again at the end of Obsidian, after Simon alerts them to PB and Marcy's rescue, and Jake's absence is notable in her appearance. Coupled with Finn's flowered chest tattoo featuring his best bud's face, I'm worried that her partnering with him could mean that Jake has died at this point in distant lands. Dogs age differently from humans who age differently from Rainicorns, so it's possible that Jake, Lady, and his children have already passed on or are too old to go on quests. Although Jake missing from the episode hints that we'll see more of Bronwyn and Gibbon stories in Together Again, we won't know what it means for Jake's fate until the episode drops. Maybe he's not dead. Maybe he's just chilling with Prismo eating a cosmic sandwich. I don't want to bum anyone out, but I do want to hype you up for the possibility of more grandbaby pup action in the future. The last of Jake's pups is Jake Jr. She has a hot dog-shaped rainbow body with no eyes or nose, only a few small bumps and a mouth shaped like her grandfather wore in ampersands. She has long blonde hair that she wears in a ponytail, but her horn is on her butt instead of on the top of her head like her siblings. As a child, she was clearly Jake's favorite daughter, as he spent the most time with her out of any of her siblings. Jake Jr. can teleport, shapeshift, and stretch, but like TV, she can't fly on her own. She's also kind of a trickster. In one episode, she pretends to be kidnapped, only to reveal to Jake that she was the kidnapper all along. Her dad and Finn also build her a make-believe time machine to help her cope with her worries about the future. Like the rest of her siblings, however, Jake Jr. outgrows her father fairly quickly and becomes disillusioned to his parenting when he goes long periods without seeing his children. His immaturity kinda bugs her, but of course, she loves him very much. Finally, we have Beth Burrito Jackson IV, the former princess of the Pup Kingdom and Jake and Lady Rainicorn's descendant in the faraway future. Her last name is a play on Jake's son, and her middle name is named after his favorite food. Beth is a large dog hybrid with a Rainicorn horn and a belly button that can teleport and store objects. We meet her and her friend Shermie in Come Along With Me, after Beth is kicked out of the Pup Kingdom and moves into Marceline's former home. After failing to capture the prize ball guardian, she finds Finn's mechanical arm and decides to bring it to the King of Ooh for answers. Bimo is now Ooh's mighty king, and he tells Beth and Shermie the story of their ancestors in the Great Gum War and how they defeated Galb to save Ooh. The two friends decide to go in search of the fern tree after their talk with Bimo. They climb to the top of the new tree that stood where the treehouse once did, and Shermie plucks the restored Finn sword from its branches. It's assumed that Jake's legacy of adventure lives on forever, even thousands and thousands of descendants later. Beth is technically pup number 38,000 in their family line, and somehow those stretchy dog and Rainicorn powers are still coming through. Man, Jake's family knows how to get busy, and I'm excited to see which of them show up in the next 2 episodes of Distant Lands. Do you guys have a favorite of Jake's kids? Let me know in the comments below and stick around for more Adventure Time videos.